Welcome to video number 5, multiplying rational numbers. We're going to start off with a little bit of review. So let's review multiplying fractions and decimals. We're going to need to know this for our unit that we're doing. So remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you don't have to find a common denominator, but you do have to change them to be improper. So let's do that with 1 3/4 first. 4 times 1, our denominator times our whole number is 4. Plus 3 is 7, that becomes my numerator. Over, denominator stays the same, so let's bring down that 4. Okay, same thing with 2 1/2. So 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so that becomes my numerator. Denominator stays the same. And we are multiplying. For some students say they think about it as around the world. We do 2 times 2 plus 1, 4 times 1 plus 3. So you've heard a teacher say that before, that's what we're doing. All right, we multiply straight across. So 7 times 5 is 35. And 4 times 2 is 8. We don't want to leave it as an improper fraction. We want to change it back to a mixed number most of the time. So think about how many times will 8 go into 35? Well, I know 8 times 3 is 24. I can probably do a little bit more than that. So let's do 8 times 4 is 32. So that's pretty close. But I've still got 3 left over. So that becomes my numerator, and my denominator stays the same as 8. So a little review of multiplying with fractions. Okay, for decimals, remember, I kind of like to think of it as ignoring the decimal point at the beginning and then thinking about it at the end. So imagine if we were multiplying 205 times 12, you know how to do that. So 5 times 2 is 10, carry our 1. 2 times 0, 0, plus 1. 2 times 2 is 4. For the second line, we need a 0 as a placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 0 is 0. And 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, let's add them together and then figure out where a decimal point goes. 0 and 0. 5 and 1 make 6. 4 and 0, 4. And bring down the 2. Remember, you got to look back and see how many places to move it over based on your factors here. So 1, 2, 3. So that means I need to move it over a total of 3 places in my answer. 1, 2, 3. So your product is 2.46. The 0 doesn't add or take away any value. When we start multiplying rational numbers, we are going to keep this negative. So think about with negatives, the different concepts. So when we multiply with negative numbers, we want to think about moving to the left, and we're going to look at that on a number line. Also think about social studies. When you read maps, you may also see it in the context of to the west. So think about a compass rose that helps you read a map. We may think about negatives as to the west. Also as time in the past, or something that happened before. So when we talk about negatives with multiplying rational numbers, think about all these different scenarios, because you may see them in story problems, and think about your number line, how it's going to move you in this direction. For positives, it's exactly the opposite. So think about moving to the right, to the east on a compass rose, and time in the future. So look at your number line. Remember that when you multiply with rational numbers, positive can mean many different things in real world contexts. We're also going to do an investigation this week that involves patterns in multiplication. So with patterns in multiplication, you have to notice some things. So I'm going to kind of start a pattern with you, and then you're going to see how you're going to need to continue it on your own. So think about some factors that you know. 5 times 5 we know is 25. 5 times 4, 20. 5 times 3, 15. 5 times 2, 10. Should be noticing some type of pattern here as we go. 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times 0 is 0. Look at this pattern. You're going to see how this is important in our investigations this week. That when we continue the pattern and think about negatives, what happens?